Hi, gents. Welcome back to 424 Soccer. It's my man Enoch once again with me. We're going to be catching up on some events from the weekend. Arsenal grinding out results. Tottenham fighting relegation, but happened to survive Liverpool this weekend. And we got Man City. Who knows what's going on with them? Something is going on and they're just not getting their season back on track. And Manchester United with a professional win. Let's jump right into it. Arsenal, Enoch, how are you feeling? What did you take away from the game?
I mean, yeah. What to start? It was. I thought overall the ending was great. The game itself at home, I guess a very good Everton team. We should have actually, been up 2-0, just put the game away. However, the ending, I mean, having the kid come in and just ball out, score his first goal, win 2-0, that was good. I mean, the 2-0 was good, but it was as an Arsenal fan, having to wait till the end of the game to grind out results is not the best feeling. However, we don't forget, right? Like, people are saying whatever, Arsenal's playing ugly football, blah. I read all these articles. Like, this is the same guys who, for the past 3-4 years, like Arsenal they're bottling it. They can't get past the line. So for me, in a way, yes, the game wasn't the best stylistically to say. However, Arsenal got two goals and 3 points. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, they got 3 important points, and it's I've been seen a lot of reactions to Arsenal and the way they've been winning, and they're not the prettiest, but I'll tell you what, if I was in their shoe, I wouldn't really care how I get the victories at this point in time. 7 games, all they have to do is win the next 3 games or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think
or 4 games, maybe 4 games.
Beating Manchester
City. Right? So they need 12 points from the next 7 games and it's a wrap. Of course. And that is assuming Manchester City wins their next 4 games, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter how they get the results, and they get it done. And I mean, for whatever people are saying out there and people that love to hate Arsenal, they say it's not pretty, it's a lot of corner kicks. Let me ask you a question. Would you take Arsenal winning the title but winning the rest of the 7 games through own goals from corner kicks? Or would you prefer them to do it a little more prettier than that?
It's been 22 years since we last won the title. If we win every game by corner kicks, only corner kicks, I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that. I mean, okay, here's the whole thing, right? That people don't get it. It's like, oh yeah, we want you to play. I read an article today about Arsenal's making football ugly because people are trying to imitate Arsenal. Now there's more focus on corner kicks. Everybody imitated Pep, blah, 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 and so forth, right? Okay, I get it. Like, the same people write these articles are the same people who were saying Arsenal can't get over the line. Arsenal can't get over the line. The last few years we played great football, right? We weren't overly reliant on set pieces and corner kicks. 2 years, the back-to-back years we lost to Manchester City, right? Last year a bit more reliant on it. And people were like, they can't win the game. They can't grind out results. They can't do this. I don't care how you grind out the results. You have 7 games to go. You win every single game by scoring only corner kicks and winning 2-0, 1-0. I'm happy, because at the end of the day, no one's going to remember really, 20 years down the line. No one's going to go, yeah, but that year, they won the title with mostly corner kicks. Who cares? You're the champions. You won the title. You put the trophy in your cabinet, and that's all that matters, right? So all these people, and I don't even understand how, as a pundit, you could even criticize the same team that you criticized for not being able to grind out results before. Now you're criticizing them for doing exactly that. It's like, I hear all these guys, they talk about it, right? You have, especially those ESPN FC Marco, then with his articles and his thing, you have all these guys who played football in the 80s and whatever, when all you had to do during those days was grind out results, coming out and speaking out against Arsenal. And I think it's a bit foolish of them, because if we just replay their own words, just, a few weeks ago when Arsenal started dropping points and they're going, oh, they're bottling it, they can't see it through, they can't see it, the United game through. And it's like, well, they just saw a game through, and you're criticizing them for it. For me, I don't care. Keep scoring corner kicks, win the game, get the points. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's a solid point, though. I agree, because we've always criticized Arsenal for over the years for playing pretty soccer but ending up with nothing. For years, it was the end of Wenger's reign under Unai Emery, and at the start of Arteta's, it was always, they played pretty. They had like 10, 15 passes, and they came out with 0 points or a loss.
Yeah.
And we said, they have to figure out a way to win. Guess what? I think David Moyes said it the other day. It's like Arteta has employed the dark arts in his game. And you know what? Maybe they need the dark arts. Maybe they needed a bit of it. And you know what? I give them credit. They found a way to win. They found a way to get results, multiple ways to get results when the pretty soccer isn't going their way. And that's all that matters right now. Those guys are going to be laughing to the trophy. They will carry the trophy and they will not care how that trophy comes around. So it's all credit due to them for sure. As long as they grind it out, I mean, at this point in time, I don't see them.
A lot of games,
I don't see it.
7 games.
It is a lot of games. You know, I would say 7 games is a lot of games if you were being chased by a team that was picking up results consistently and playing well, like they were a relentless machine, like the old Man City. But it's not the same City. I cannot bet anything that Man City is going to win the remaining 8 games. That's just not what they do. Maybe Man City of 4 years ago would have just been like, okay, we're winning the rest of our 8 games and then let's see if Arsenal can handle the same. But it's not the same situation these days. So who knows?
We'll see. It's 7 games, a lot of games. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I do hope it's that's the case, right?
And Arsenal fan being humble.
No, I'm just being realistic, right? 7 games, a lot of games, and any title chase, right? Even look at the Bundesliga, for example. Not to say that anyone's going to catch Bayern Munich, but Bayern Munich dropped some points, right? Gave Dortmund a bit of life.
Yeah.
Same thing is happening in Italy as well. Inter Milan dropped some points, and so all that to say, you kind of, when you get to the last 7 games of the season, you kind of see where it's heading, unless it's like a really title chase, like a short one, like we have in France, even though, that's PSG's league, so they're going to find a way to win their league because it's their league. But in other countries, like, you never know, right? So I think once we get to that Man City Arsenal game, then we kind of know what's going to happen after that game is over. It's like, okay, but you're right. Like, I think City is a different city. Going into West Ham, I kind of was like, West Ham's not getting relegated. And I remember saying this, I think City's going to drop points in that game. And they did. And I think it's just West Ham, and you have a few teams that they still have to play who have that mentality, right? Like, hey, we don't want to drop out of this. We don't want to get relegated, so there's still a few games that are, I'll call it tricky games, as does Arsenal too. We still have to play West Ham towards the end. So, and then they have Aston Villa as their last game. Maybe by then it doesn't matter anymore, but still, like, Villa is dropping down from, being second all the way, now they're 4th, right? They could completely drop out of the Champions League spots. So we don't know what kind of resurgence, Emery is going to have by then. So that being said, 7 games to go, keeping my head grounded. Once we're 4 games in, I could be like, all right, it's done. Like, at that point, I'll feel ready to, more ready to celebrate.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump over to your crosstown rivals, Tottenham. Are they going to get relegated or what? They managed to scrape out a result this weekend. And, while the game was going on, I text some of my friends and I said, I think it was Francois and Tino, and I said, Tottenham this season, they thrive on chaos. Even last season, they thrive on chaos. And maybe it's down to the fact that they have 24 players injured or 18 or something like that. But this season, they thrive on chaos. So if you get into a chaotic game with Tottenham, they are most likely going to win. Manchester City did the same with them, and Liverpool got drawn into the chaos and they just did not get control of the game for long periods, and it led to Tottenham equalizing. But man, what a horrible season you are. And I kind of starting to feel bad about Tottenham because they've had so many injuries to basically their first 15 players, like players that would be starting the game and will be coming off the bench. So they've really had nothing all season, which is ridiculous because someone's got to look into that medical staff and their fitness coach or something. But they are battling relegation. What do you think? You think they're going to get relegated?
As an Arsenal fan, they're one of our biggest rival. If we win the title, they get relegated. It'll be... It's a bit harsh because I do like the
rivalry. Yeah,
I like the rivalry, and like Tottenham going to championship, they have too much to stay there. I just don't see them actually getting relegated. I think now they realize they got to just scrap it through and they're gonna scrap it through and just kind of find a way to stay. I actually think the team that might get relegated that we're not really talking about is Leeds United. I mean, they've been grinding out results, but they're running out of steam at the wrong time, and I feel that Nottingham Forest, if they get knocked out of Europe, I think they're just gonna refocus to staying alive, where Leeds isn't playing in Europe and is still there. West Ham, I think they can get away. So that being said, I think Tottenham they might make it. It does suck. I never thought the manager was actually the issue. Even when they had Ange Postecoglou, we talked about Ange, right? We as much as I hate Tottenham, and I don't want Arsenal fans to think that I liked, but I loved Ange because Ange was just having Ange was a different type of manager that we haven't seen in the Premier League in a while. An Australian dude, so I don't think Ange was ever the problem. I think what Tottenham's problem is just fundamental, right? Like it's the system, the way the whole system is set up. And I think that's, like you said, looking into the actual medical side of things, right? Like why are so many first team players getting injured? And it's like when you don't have a consistent roster in the Premier League, you're gonna get punished, and that's a problem with Tottenham. So and I think bringing in Tudor probably not the right move. I thought Thomas Frank was a good manager for them. He's just unlucky. Like I don't know what you expect the manager to do when his first team players most of them are injured and he has to play kids, right? So I like Thomas Frank. I like that he drank with an Arsenal cup at one of the games. That was awesome. That being said, Tudor was not the right person. If you're trying to scrap out relegation, I think, they probably would have brought in Sean Dyche, who was just...
Or Big Sam.
Or Big Sam. Right? Big Sam, Sean Dyche, those are the guys who've gone through relegation battles before. They know what it is, and they understand, their team is short of player. And guess what? Sean Dyche doesn't play pretty football. He plays chaotic football, right? And he understands that because the teams he's had at Burnley, recently in Nottingham Forest, that's the football he plays. And I think, like you said, Tottenham is thriving on chaos. If they get you chaotic mode and you descend into their same level, they're going to kill you.
They're going to kill you.
They did to Man City, as we saw to Liverpool. So I think as Sean Dyche kind of fits that level of manager I think they would have had, whereas Tudor, I really don't know. And it goes to the whole system side of things, where who's making the decisions at Tottenham and saying, let's go hire this guy who has no Premier League experience. He's a great manager in Italy, but and he's a tough, hard-ass kind of guy, right? Tough love, where I don't know if that's the type of manager that Tottenham would have needed to fight through a relegation battle, especially while they're still in Europe too, in the Champions League. I mean, granted, they're going to be out of that this week. So I think that also will help them, actually. Getting out of Champions League would help them refocus their season, because I don't see them overturning that.
I mean, listen, of all the teams left there, I think the likeliest to survive are probably Tottenham and West Ham. But all of those, if you look at Tottenham, West Ham, and Nottingham Forest, the team that has the most consistency right now in terms of form is West Ham. West Ham are finding ways to pick up points. Nottingham still have majority of their players fit and trying to scrape out wins. So Tottenham is actually the worst of the bunch. And Leeds United, they're still above. They've got that little base, but they are playing well. I mean, they had a golden chance to win the game this weekend, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin missed the penalty. So they are getting chances and they're putting in the performances. But Tottenham, they don't really have... This weekend, they played a 4-4-2, which kind of suited the player for the most part, and you could see the team moving in unison. Creating clear-cut chances, creating opportunities is still difficult for them. And so they still fall back into their basic instinct, which is chaos. Once that game became chaos, I said Tottenham was going to win this game. And Liverpool got lucky because Alisson pulled off some good saves towards the end, right? So, I mean, it would be unfortunate for my friend team if his team got relegated, because now I can talk so much smack to him. I can tell him he's not on our level. He needs to find a different group of friends to talk to when Premier League is going on.
You left our group.
So that is
the group, and Tim is still there. So I think, Tim, you're all right, man. You're a Tottenham fan. You never left the fantasy football and it did, so you're good.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the season ends up. The other team to talk about is Man City. Listen, since Erling Haaland stopped scoring goals, since he dropped out of the goal scoring mode, Manchester City have struggled. They've continued to struggle. They've found it hard to score goals. Semenyo has chipped in where he can. But I think Manchester City not being able to push Arsenal consistently through the end of the season comes down to Haaland's goals missing in the team.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, 100%. I always call Haaland a robot, right? I'm like, the cyborg is not firing. It's all like, if you watch Man City's season, it correlates with Haaland's form, right? If Haaland is in tip-top form, they're going to win games. Especially if it's a close game, he could always bag in a goal, right? When Haaland's form dips, those tight games become harder for them. You know, they draw, they lose, they might win 1-0, but like, you know, the Haaland can get you 2 goals. Games, they're not happening, they struggle. So I think that's definitely, you know, direct correlation between how Haaland is doing and how Manchester City is doing. Manchester City has had a great team, but I think the past 4 seasons, Haaland has carried them on his back for the most part, right? I mean, you've had De Bruyne, Phil Foden playing well, but I would say, you know, you look at the Haaland numbers, you gonna swap in someone else, you're losing a lot of goals, right? Even if they score, the people come in and like a new person or whatever, new people come in, like a Semenyo was the guy, Marmoush came in, and you have the Sharky. They can score some goals, but it's not the same as like the rate in which Haaland scores. And I think City is kind of, you know, that's where you see the slump. I think there'll be some fundamental changes in City this year, and I don't know which direction they're going to go with that change. Because I don't know if Pep is going to stay after the season. There's always been like, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? I just see Pep as a person where if he doesn't win trophies after a year or 2, he kind of goes, okay, like a new challenge or whatever. But I think there's already been talks about Maresca taking over for Pep. I just don't see City continuing to be the way they've been without Pep. And then you have Real Madrid is always calling somebody, you know, and Haaland is like a perfect Galactico. So I think if Pep exits, new guy comes in, things starts going south, you're going to lose a Haaland, and then we'll see how City really copes, right? And Bernardo Silva has already said he's leaving. The team is going to change. I don't see them having too many prospects, like a Phil Foden that's coming up because, oh yeah, these are the next guys, right? Like, you know, when you had Fernandinho live, Rodri came in, you know, you had De Bruyne came in, Aguero left. So I just don't see the next guys on that team. I could be wrong. Maybe they go out and splash a bunch of money, but even the guys that they're brought in, they're great players, like Tijani Randers, you know, Marmoush. They're great players, but they're not, you know, like those guys. And maybe they're just adapting, and next season they'll be better. But I think without the Pep factor, we're kind of gonna see some. You know, it might be like the dark times for them a little bit, you know, and then they get, like, everyone has gone through it. Manchester United went through it. Arsenal went through it.
You know what's interesting? Like, sorry to cut you off, but I keep thinking about Tijani Rangers and Ryan Cherky, and by the beginning of the season, I had my doubts about them. And honestly, I think I still do. Not saying they're not good players. They're very technical, they're smart. I just wonder if they are going to need more time to adapt to what Pep really wants and the style of Man City and the Premier League. Yeah. And I say this because when I watch Cherky play, I've watched him so many times now since he's been in the Premier League. I didn't really watch him a lot in France, but since he's been in the Premier League, he does not make a lot of runs off the ball. He always wants the ball to fit. And a lot of times I see him and Phil Foden taking up the same space, or him and Bernardo Silva taking up the same space. So he's not like stretching the field for the rest of the City team. And so it's easy to just kind of like contain them in a spot. Because he's the kind of player that likes ball to his feet and likes to go at people 1v1. He doesn't want to, it seems like he doesn't want to make runs off the ball. Listen, I could be wrong. I've only seen him for a season, but it feels like someone else needs to come in and stretch the game a little bit for Manchester City so their operators can have pace. Maybe listen, who am I to tell Pep what to do with his team? Don't get me wrong, right? But something feels fundamentally wrong with the team, and it's just something that they need to figure out, whether it's the personnel. And Tijani Rangers seems more like a willing runner off the ball, but for whatever reason, he's been inconsistent and hasn't been given enough time to kind of like grow into the Premier League. So maybe next season he matures into it, right? So
I think that's like, even if you look at the goalkeeper, Donnarumma, great goalkeeper, right? I mean, I don't know why he left PSG or why PSG let him leave. However, he's not a Pep goalkeeper. he's a great shot stopper, but Donnarumma doesn't start play for you, right? He's not going to come out top of the box like Ederson used to do and play the ball long, right? And I think that's like the Pep style. Like Omar Bravo was doing that for him, Neuer a little bit. But he's one of those guys where everybody's playing football with their feet, and the play can come from anywhere. Donnarumma just isn't that goalkeeper. So I think there's a bit of a shift in Pep stylistically, that I've noticed the past, like this season at least, like things are shifted a little bit, and it might just be the type of players that he thought he's bringing in would play his style, and they're not.
Yeah.
But the problem with the adapt, what I mean with the time to adapt is they need time to adapt. But would Pep be there once they've adapted to the Pep style and a new person comes? Like I don't like, although Maresca comes from Pep's training, I don't think Chelsea was playing the Pep style football under Maresca.
Yeah.
Watching them play, right?
Yeah.
So with that, it might not be Maresca. It could be somebody completely different. Maybe Company leaves Bayern when it comes to Man City, then you kind of would have a much more Pep kind of style, because I think Company copies a lot from Pep. But would Company leave a great job in Bayern, that he wins the league every year? I mean, Bayern must be the cushiest job. Like, I don't know how you even get fired. You go in the Champions League, maybe that's why. But I mean, it's almost like, would he leave that to come to like the pot of Man City? I don't know, right? So I think that's where these new guys, I think they just need time. I think Shirky has been playing better, but like you said, he doesn't make runs off the inside the box, which has stifled a little bit Phil Foden's play. When Shirky wasn't playing as much at the beginning of the season, it felt like Foden was actually playing like himself. And now recently, Shirky's playing more, and you can see, like you said, he's always occupying spaces that Foden would pop in, and it kind of affects a bit of Foden's play. So we'll see. I mean, I think they need time. Tijani Reiner's a great player, needs time, or he might not suit the next manager or the EPL, and then goes back to Italy.
It's just interesting, because when you look at Man City, I mean, I know they've had some injuries this year, but they have so many good players and people that are consistently on the bench. They've got a young group. Savino wasn't really himself this year. Dogu for whatever reason.
Actually.
Yeah. Doku, for whatever reason, wasn't getting a lot of game time this season.
Doku got injured for a bit.
He got injured too, He got injured for a little bit. I mean, they've missed Ruben Diaz. So and honestly speaking, I don't think either of their left back or outside backs have been as successful as he would have loved them to be. So that is probably an area of improvement. Who's
their right back right now? Because I know they have the guy from Wolves, what's his name? Ryan Adnuri.
Ryan Adnuri. Actually, that's a very good question.
O'Reilly doesn't. He's been playing the midfield now, right? So I don't even know who their right back is.
I don't know. Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. I don't know if I remember who their right back is, but I mean, so they've had some issues where they're going to have to address over the summer. I don't expect that it will be the same coming into next season. I think next season will be a lot tougher. Everyone is going to make some improvements, but I mean, right now feels like they should be watching their back more than looking upwards, because guess what? Manchester United is right behind them. And
let's talk about Manchester United.
Segue into Manchester United.
Look at this guy. He's excited. Okay,
No. I'm not excited. We're calm. Manchester United is a calm team right now.
Wow. Okay, Kenneth. I mean, I only wish people had access to our group chats, but we don't give them access to that.
No. They're a calm team. You know why they're a calm team? I said before the game that the one thing Manchester United cannot do is lose composure and lose control of the midfield. And you could see throughout the game, Unai Emery kept on tinkering with his midfield. He was trying to find the right solution for that midfield. It was 3, then it was 4, then he kept trying to tinker to just get a control of the midfield. But it's the one thing Aston Villa are very good at, is transitioning from defense to attack really quickly through the midfield. So United had to find a way to stop that transition. They had to make sure the game didn't get chaotic and transitional. And the one time it got transitional was the 10 minutes between United scoring and Villa scoring. And they just could not control the game for that 10-minute spell, and Villa scored. But at the end of the day, United controlled the game very well, I think. Some great moments, some great passing ability from the corner was exceptional. Casemiro's connection with Bruno on corner kicks is fantastic. The pass for Cunha's goal, I mean, what a beautiful pass it was. And I know my friends out there, like the Tinos of our world, might not like Bruno as much, but when he watches
We don't talk
this,
about Bruno, Kenneth.
they don't talk about Bruno. I mean, and you know what's crazy? I think on a very good day, Bruno walks off that game with 5 assists because he had 2 assists for Dalot in the first half and another one for Dalot in the second half. And he should have had another assist for, what's his name, Šeško. So I think overall, United kind of rebound from the game against Newcastle. They look more assured. The first half, a little erratic, but the second half, I think they look more assured. And now they look like the favorite to secure 3rd spot. And if City are not careful, United would catch them.
I mean, I think that you're right to say that United seems more calm. And I feel like the Ruben Amorim experience, it was always tough, like, to watch Ruben Amorim, because I remember when Ten Hag was manager, was a bit chaotic, but I don't think that Ten Hag was normally like stressed out in the sideline every single game. Whereas Ruben Amorim was always, United's up 1-0 and the guy is like stressed out, like his life is gonna just end, and when the players are looking over the sideline, yes, they're the guys who play the game, I get it, but they're also human beings. They're looking over the sideline, and the guy who's supposed to be seeing the game from outside is all stressed out, and his head is down, he's looking like this, he sits, he stands. It becomes infectious, right? People on the bench are seeing this before they come into the game. So I think that was kind of the chaos I remember for this Amorim experiment. Whereas Michael Carrick comes in, I think it also, he's like, hey, if I do well, you hire me. If I don't do well, okay, you find somebody else, right? So I think he's coming in with a little bit less pressure, and the less pressure that he has kind of passed on to the players too. Like, hey guys, let's just enjoy this, The expectation was that we would not even make it to Champions League. Okay, or we can, so let's just show up and play. And you can see that being reflected in the game, right? And I think it's good for United. I don't know what's going to happen next season. If Carrick gets hired as a full-time manager, you bring in someone new, then we'll kind of see the Michael Carrick, the real character, right? Because I think at that point, does he continue this chill mode Michael Carrick, or does he start to see the pressure ratcheting up? And what does that do to him, and what does that do to the team? But for now, I think right now United is very calm, and that's good. That's a good thing, because for the past like 3-4 seasons, it's been a bit chaotic. I think there were only a few times, like Mourinho's season when he won the Europa League, things were a bit, more predictable. Not the second Mourinho time. I mean, the first, I think it was his first year, right? Because he was there for a year and a half.
First year it was good, Second year.
I'm trying to think who else was there that was a bit. I mean, the first season or the half a season with Ole Gunnar was a bit similar to the Carrick situation, and then so I think we'll see, right? Like, what is United going to do? I think Michael Carrick is actually a good manager, because he could be like, he's a guy who played at the club, but he also isn't coming in with no experience whatsoever. He's managed before. And I think actually, like, what he's telling the players is kind of giving them the freedom to do what they're meant to do, and isn't coming with his own philosophies and like, I only believe in this or that. He's kind of working with the players to come up with solutions, which I tend to think is probably one of the best ways to actually bring calm to a team. Like, you have a few guys like Luis Enrique, Pep Guardiola, who can show up and say, hey, this is my system, this is how we're going to do it, and the people buy in. But most managers are really meant to just like work together with the players to come up with solutions. And I think do a good job with that.
I think you can only do that and come in and just be like forceful about your system when you have a certain degree of success and everybody knows, hey, I'm coming in, my system has worked in 3 different countries. So if I say play 1-7-2 or 1-7-3, we're going to play 1-7-3 because 1-7-2 because it works. This is what, and we're going to bring titles. So, but the one thing I'll say though about United and the coaching situation though is I don't want to take away all the credit from Ruben Amorim, because he came in to a team that was a little bit unstable in terms of characters on the team being very entitled. He had a lot of entitled people on the team. He had a lot of spoiled kids who felt like they deserved everything. They deserved to be on the team.
Like the freedom fighter.
And and the freedom fighters and the people who were not performing but just felt like, because they're on big money, they could just play. We had the likes of Sancho. We've got Antonio is not the best. We have Garnacho, and then Rashford just not running. This guy's he got rid of these 4 players. He got rid of 4 players who were either underperforming or just did not have the right attitude anymore at the club.
But I think they had got rid of the freedom fighter though before.
I think the freedom fighter is still on loan. By the way, we're talking about Jadon Sancho, but we call him freedom fighter because that's all he does these days. But I think he's on loan, so this summer will probably be when it's kind of finally resolved. But at the end of the day, those 4 players, those 4 players were just not. They were not showing up to games. They were entitled, and it takes a lot to clean out house. Loan players like Rasmus Højlund, who was also kind of newish but not performing. All of that takes a little bit of courage, and it takes a lot of work. So he's already working with players who he needs to get out of the club, but still has to deal with them until he finds replacement. And then brought in 3 good players. 4, I know Diego Leon hasn't really played at all, but he brought in Chesko, Buemo, and these are the guys carrying the team. So I gotta give him credit. His style of play, he may not have had everybody for the style of play that he wanted, but I think at certain times they had good games. They played well, sometimes a little bit erratic, but all in all, deep down, it would have been nice to see him finish the season. But I can't take anything away from the fact that we were just not getting a lot of good results, and Carrick is getting good results now. So it is what it is.
I mean, I think like you said, he's your manager and then your ex-manager. I think he did fine in those regards, but I just think that he was a bit too naive for the English league. The English league is one. Like in Portugal, yes, people are diehard fans, but the pundits and the newspapers and the whatever in England are just the harshest on planet Earth. I mean,
relentless.
Maybe the weather, maybe the food, I don't know. But it's just, I think he was a bit naive coming into England and expecting that, people give him time. They don't give you time. The minute especially a club like Manchester United, like if you show up at West Ham or you show up maybe Leeds or whatever, you have time to build what you want, or Brentford, Sunderland. But not at Manchester United, not at Arsenal, not at Liverpool, not at Manchester City, right? You're not getting time to build. So I think coming in, he was a bit like, they're gonna give me time, results will come, and then eventually over time I'm gonna get there. Like even could have Arteta. Arteta was very fortunate that he was able to stay as long as he has. I think maybe Amorim could have a year from now, 2 years from now, done the thing. But, Arteta's very fortunate. Like you saw how, he won the FA Cup. Everyone would, now expectations are high. And then Arsenal kind of went like this, right? 8th place, 5th place. I think it was 9th place. And then they topped, So the English don't give you any time for that. And I think Amorim is just you could tell at the beginning he was very confident, and then he just started kind of spiraling. And as he started spiraling, you just saw that, everything just starts falling apart, and it started affecting the team. Yes, he did the right stuff in the back staff and whatever, bringing in great players, but it's just because he just already started spiraling. You could see whenever they would lose, he's kind of knew, oh man, they're gonna cook me today. So you could see he just changes in the game and starts getting nervous. And I remember one time United were up I forget which game, and these guys walking around the sideline I'm like, bro, enjoy it. You're up 2-0. This is your chance. Get your system going, and he just didn't. So I think, and I think Michael Carrick brings a different character into it. Me personally, if I was picking to hire and I've been the United board, I'm saying, you know what? What do we have to lose? Give this guy the job. Let's see what he can. We'll give him, if he gets us in the Champions League, okay, things will be tougher too, right? Next year for Carrick, because now you have Champions League football to play. Now you're playing like Arsenal every 3 days. The injuries are going to be higher. What does he do in the summer to prep his team for that? And how is his recruiting process? And that's a question as the board I would be asking him. And depending on what you sense, then you can say, I think this is the guy, right? Or you can say, well, this guy has no clue what he's going to do when the Champions League shows up and we're playing every 3 days. So it's not.
And it's good. And I think it's going to be even tougher because we've got the World Cup, and some of these players are going to go playing the World Cup. They're not going to have a lot of rest before they come back and start prepping for preseason friendlies. So it's going to if United do qualify, they would be in at least 4 competitions, 5 Premier League, 2 League Cups, and the Champions League, or at least in Europe. So the team would need some building up. They would need more players. They would need to strengthen, and they would need to get everybody fit and firing. So it's going to be, there's a challenge there for Man U.
Like the next person has to be equally as good or better or just slightly off, but not a lot, right? And I think that's kind of like what Arteta did last season, which was great, right? Bringing in the defensive, like imagine we didn't have Mosquera and Kapia. Like there's no way this, this title challenge is happening. Like Madueke comes in, he slots in and does well. So I think that's kind of what Carrick would be, looking into. And going, hey, this is what I could, like, this is who we can bring in, right? And then I think in your academy too, like look in your academy, who are the young kids who you can kind of push as well this summer. They're not going to be at the World Cup, so they can be training, right? And then who are you seeing that you can bring in? Like, hey, this kid is the next guy that could also take up the space, right? So I think,
So, but it's good, man. Good. You know what? This has been a fun conversation. We've touched point on Arsenal. We're staying calm about Arsenal until maybe 4 games to the end of the season, and then we start to celebrate and call it. Man City.
After 4 games, we'll come here in the show and we'll do that. Because Francois told me every time I come to your show,
Arsenal lose.
Man, we go down. So I'm sorry, Francois. I'm trying to unjinx us by doing the show with Kene.
We touch point on Man City and their struggles, but I don't see them recovering in time to put up a decent fight to the end of the season. Liverpool, on the other hand, they consistently drop points. They seem like they're playing well, but then they let Tottenham kind of really get into it. And then Tottenham, are they going to survive relegation? I don't know. If you ask me today, my relegation picks are Wolves, they're gone. It doesn't matter if they win today. Burnley's gone. And honestly, I would slightly nudge Tottenham to go before I nudge Nottingham, right? So I think West Ham will survive, and I think Tottenham are really, really on the border. So those are my picks for relegation. Yeah. What do you think?
I think Burnley, Wolves, and I want Leeds to stay. I like Leeds. I like Daniel Park. I would say Nottingham Forest can go because, they got great players that we can take. And not only that, I don't like the Marinakis guy. He's a jerk. And he did my boy Nuno dirty. And you know what? If Nuno gets West Ham won over Marinakis, even better.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have time for today, and I appreciate you as always, Enoch. This was fun. Let's do this again. And thank you all. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for 424. More analysis to come in the future. Talk to you guys soon.
All right.